I used to stop by here. In fact, I always thought that this is a nasty intersection. I used to stop by here every other day to pick up a steak, egg, and cheese bagel, large cup of coffee, and I would hate this driveway. And 10 packs of sugar. Ouch. I don't know why they don't fix that thing. So I would eat that every other day, going to work. I'd exercise a lot, like power lift. I thought that was okay. Until that fateful day, remember that? When I woke up in the ICU. Actually, I knew what was happening, but I had to get cardioverted. Heart rate was too fast. I tried to outpace it by getting on a treadmill. It wouldn't stop. And because it was bothering me, I went to a friend of mine, a cardiologist, and he said that we should shock you. So we did it. They knocked me out. I got shocked. I remember the guy that was shocking me was asking me, right before he knocked me out, said, "Hey, oh, you're sports medicine. I have a question about," and I went to sleep. Then I woke up next to, how old were you then?
I don't know. I think I was in like 5th grade.
Woke up next to my little darling daughter wearing her St. Joan of Arc uniform. And it's like, oh, why does my chest hurt so much? Oh, I got shocked. And I kind of learned my lesson, but I didn't. I didn't really stick to it. I made a little bit of a change in caffeine and alcohol, but again, I thought it was bulletproof, so I didn't lose the weight. But eventually, I got to this point. And now, where are we going to eat? Now, we're going to eat Jamba Juice. So this is an Asahi Bliss bowl from Jamba Juice. This is my usual, my daughter introduced me to this, and it's my usual morning breakfast, I guess you can call it. Drastic change compared to the steak, egg, and cheese bagel I just mentioned. Obviously, in the gym or with exercise, there'll be some groups that say you have to have protein, you have to have animal meat to get big. And I was the same way. That's why back when I started medical practice, I used to work out that way and eat that way. When I was bodybuilding in '82, it used to be that if you wanted to get big, or at least get the benefits of working out aggressively, you had to have a lot of protein, and that would usually translate to creatine. Creatine wasn't big back in the '80s, so it would just be a matter of eating a lot of steaks, and that would get you a good amount of protein. But usually in about 10 to 15 years, you'd also have a heart attack or clogged arteries or high cholesterol. So nowadays, you do that, guarantee you with the type of food that's being grown now, you'll have that in addition to pre-diabetes and hypertension. So you have to really be careful. I think the beauty of science now, even the food industry, is that you have great companies that really put out good product. And you can get concentrated protein, you can get vegetarian protein, that's not whey, but mostly plant-based protein. So there's options that you can take advantage of that will give you the macronutrient maximums that you need to give the building blocks for exercise, or at least to get the best benefit of a good workout. So what I wanted to talk about was fasting, and you had a question about how to get ripped. And usually if you combine an exercise routine with proper rehabilitation and sleep, and then a good nutrition plan, you'll maximize on the effectiveness of what you're doing to your body, which is pushing muscle. You get to the point of overload without crashing or getting injured, then the muscle will be stimulated, you'll have muscle growth, and you can get back to the exercise again. In talking about different types of diet, fasting has always been popular with religions. Ramadan, Easter fasting with Catholics, it's usually done at intervals where you don't eat a certain food products, or you don't eat at a certain time of day. And it's a short block of time, and then supposedly you have this clarity that you can take advantage of. And even in India or with yoga, it's a detox, I guess you can say. During the transition between different seasons, you have to get your body ready for the different harvest of the next season. So it makes sense in a scientific way, but I think that it also kind of resets. It helps you reset your rhythm, helps you reset your bowel movements, helps you reset your sleep. From now it's summer, it's going to be going into fall and in winter, so there's definitely going to be a reset. A lot of the fruits and vegetables and the harvest that's available now will not be around, the citrus will not be around. And I don't believe in just buying stuff that's flown in from 2,000 miles away, so you have to get the transition between that and then say calorie-dense nuts, berries, fish that usually you'll find in the wintertime. So if you do a fast, it really has to be a scientific way, I believe, to get the best benefit. And then you can't just do a HCG diet, go down to 800 calories a day, and then say, I'm going to do great after that. You have to have the next step planned. So your body, we talked about how wrestlers, sometimes they'll cut down before competition. Stomach will shrink. And my thinking back in my teenage years was when your stomach shrinks, you get used to it, because most wrestlers and bodybuilders, after you get used to eating slow or small volume meals, you actually get satiated faster after that competition's all over, after the detox is over. And it's true. I think your stomach gets used to a certain stretch and you're happy without having to overstretch it. But I also think that the body and the mind get used to not having that insulin wave that happens after you have a high glycemic index meal. So I think it's healthier in the long run. But the studies all show that if you exercise and you diet at the same time, your chances of losing weight and cutting down and getting ripped, I guess you could call it, are much better than if you just exercise or if you just diet alone. So if you want this to be sustainable, fasting is really important. My biggest thing is that sometimes if you I've seen some of these fasts, like the 5-2 diet, where you kind of eat what you want for 5 days and then you go tight with your calorie restriction or carbohydrate restriction for 2 days. And sometimes the stimulation of the body going through that fast for 2 days helps you not absorb every morsel in the wrong direction during the 5 days. So 5-2 dieting, or say 18 hours of not eating and 6 hours of eating, or fasting from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., whatever you choose, it has to be a wise decision. And I think it has to be focused in that you have to have a plan of what you're going to do later on too. You can't just fast and then let go. So you have to get used to the restriction. You have to tell everybody else that you're going to be on a diet, because you're probably going to be grumpy for the first couple of days. But the beauty of going through a little bit of a fast is that when the gut doesn't have to work as much, you free up a lot of energy and you actually feel pretty invigorated after about the third or fourth day. And that's when you take advantage of the exercise. You dive into exercise without pushing too hard, and then you take advantage of muscle. You start eating cleaner, less processed foods. And then I usually say that if you go with more protein in the morning, more carbohydrates at night, it also helps embrace the sleep cycle, and then you can reset your circadian rhythm. So of all the fasts, the easiest thing I can tell you is that humans are used to eating during day and sleeping during night. So those of you who are watching TV from 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock and going to sleep and turn off the TV, that's not healthy. The blue screen is not healthy because it stimulates the brain, and it sometimes makes sleep more difficult or makes getting into sleep difficult. And the reason I'm talking about that with fasting is that when the brain is stimulated, or you're not going and slowing down the brain waves and the conversation so you can dive into sleep, what are you going to do? You're going to go for food, especially with the kitchen being so close to the living room, or people actually bringing food into the bedroom if there's a TV. I don't agree with TVs in the bedroom, but you got to cut the TV an hour before you sleep. You shouldn't eat anything after dinner time. And dinner time should not be too late either. If you're getting to sleep at 9 or 10 o'clock and you're eating dinner at 8, that's your biggest meal. That's not healthy. You fill up before your meal, go to sleep. That's a formula for reflux. And again, the body is made to digest in the daytime. So if you're eating your biggest meal, we're so used to eating big meals at night. If you eat your biggest meal at night, probably a no-no. So there is no harm in feeling hunger. I think that sometimes when you have that living room or the computer next to the kitchen or dining room, it's easy to sneak over and get snacks, and you'll graze all night long, which will be the wrong thing. Especially with the food you pick. If you pick crappy foods, you get that insulin dumping. You'll actually wake up in about 3 hours because the body's going to say, "Where's the next meal?" In studies where mice are given 24 hours of food, the mice will get obese. In studies where mice are given, and that's crappy food, in studies where mice are given crappy food, but they're limited to fasting at certain times of the day, they'll not get as obese with the same crappy food. They will get overweight, but they'll not get as obese, and the blood test will usually not show as much of a cholesterol or pre-diabetes problem. So it goes to show you, if worst case scenario, if you can't get on a really lean diet, clean and green diet, and you have no choice because you're a college student, then at least cut the crappy food at a certain time. And I usually say about 7 or 8, no more eating. And again, that's tough, especially when everybody wants to do their computer work at night, and it's easy to eat something and work on a computer, that mindless eating. But you just have to be disciplined. You also have to accept the fact that you're going to feel a little growling, and when you do, don't go straight for crappy food. Don't go straight for the cupboard. Take 5 minutes of time, have a little bit of water, not too much because you'll pee all night, and then just kind of ride out the storm, and hopefully the wave of hunger will kind of calm down. So that's what I have to say about fasting. If you look at some of the blogs out there, you'll see different forms of fasting. Again, if you look at the HED diet, that is ridiculous, but that's using a hormone, injectable hormone. And I guess if you're going for getting into or losing 100 pounds before a wedding in 3 weeks, it's probably okay, but that is not healthy. Eventually the pancreas, when you go through a nasty yo-yo diets, pancreas is going to not like that, and neither are the adrenal glands, and your cortisol is going to go up and down. In the long run, you will not be able to break something called the set point. Set point is what most bodies are used to. It has to do with basal metabolic rate. It has to do with what your heart, your muscle, and your mind is used to as far as a weight of some sort during different seasons, and sometimes it's hard to break that set point. But there's ways of doing it, and usually it needs encouragement, it needs empowerment with information, and you need a coach or two just to keep yourself honest and answer to somebody. So I'd always suggest that do the research, get people to help you, get a checkup to make sure you don't have any problems going on before you get into this endeavor.